What is going on, Cardano community? I hope you guys are having a wonderful Super Bowl weekend. Welcome back to the official Dapp Central YouTube channel. I'm your host here, Fareed, and in today's video, we're going to talk about a slightly different topic than we normally talk about. And as the video title suggests for today's video, we're going to be covering 5 different tips to make you a better crypto investor in the long term. Now, if you guys stick around, I do have a bonus tip for you guys at the very end of this video. But without taking up any more time, let's go ahead and just jump straight into today's content. So when it comes to being a crypto investor, there are a few basic traits that you need to understand, and that's what I want to cover as a part of this video. So coming in at number 1, and this is probably the most important tip when it comes to investing in crypto, and that is going to be to educate yourself. So as a part of tip number 1, before investing in any type of asset, it's going to be important to have a solid understanding of what you're actually investing in. Now, crypto is relatively new, and there are so many different types of blockchains right now floating around in the crypto ecosystem. Having said that, as you guys know, my channel focuses more or less specifically on Cardano, and the reason why is because of its technical fundamentals. Now, the community is great, but again, I picked Cardano specifically after actually educating myself around how they're building and why they're building what they are. So as a part of this first tip, I always recommend that you guys go ahead and just read up as much on whatever you're trying to invest in, whether it's an ecosystem, whether it's a particular crypto token, or whether it's a project or even an NFT, right? So again, just do your due diligence when it comes to investing. Make sure you're always staying educated, and there's just a ton of different resources. So from here on out, I'm going to try to keep this video kind of focused and narrowed down to Cardano. But what I have found to be the most beneficial when it comes to education has been the following. First off, in terms of video content, I have to say that YouTube is an endless goldmine. Now, YouTube is going to be one of my favorite platforms to get educational content from. However, I do want to state that you have to be careful on YouTube as well, because there are a lot of creators on the platform that are only creating videos to benefit themselves. Now, a second resource that I really like, if you guys are readers, that I recommend to you is going to be Medium. Medium has a ton of different articles, and similar to Twitter, you can actually go ahead and follow different projects in order to get the latest news as it comes out for those particular platforms. Now, in addition to that, Cardano does have its own forum platform, which again, I would recommend that you go ahead and jump on if you guys are looking for Cardano specific news. Very lastly, I recommend that you guys go ahead and jump onto Twitter as well. And again, Twitter can be a little bit of a rabbit hole depending on who you follow, but if you follow the right resources, it can be a very beneficial platform. Now, I do also want to mention that when it comes to educating yourself, you do also have to understand the risk that comes with crypto and just investing in general. So don't only focus on the educational side of things when it comes to the actual project itself, but make sure to also understand the risks and what are the potential downsides if things don't go as planned, right? That's part of investing, and educating yourself is always having a plan and just planning for the worst case scenario and always just hoping for the best, right? So you can hope for the best, there's nothing wrong with that, but you should always plan for things not going as according to what you actually thought it would. It's always easy for us to think about the good as opposed to thinking about the bad, especially when it comes to, an environment where people are talking about coins pumping from, 2 to 10x to 100x's. But keep in mind that the majority of people in the space do end up losing more money than they actually make in the short term. Now, if you're here long term, then there's additional benefits in the sense that you can be a little bit more risk tolerant early on, given the longer vesting period or the longer schedule that you have before you actually need to withdraw any of your assets. The second tip that I have for you guys today is going to be to start small. When making any investments in crypto, if you're new, it's always wise to start small and just gradually increase your investment as you become more familiar with the market. Now, this is one that I can tell you guys from experience. Early on when I came into Cardano, I did not necessarily have this mindset. I obviously have it now, but what I did was basically just find 1 or 2 projects that I was very bullish on and just dumped all of my assets into those 2 particular projects. Having said that, that was at the very beginning of the actual bear market, and since then the price of those tokens have come down. But what I've done now is just kind of done a little bit more research and understanding as to how to actually invest my money or assets into crypto. Now, again, this is a fine line between risk and reward, so you have to do your own due diligence. But again, I would never recommend dumping 100% of your portfolio in a brand new project that you're just hearing about because of the fact that you're bullish on the project or because you think that it's going to 5, 10, or even 100x. While that can be very lucrative, and we do see those opportunities pop up every once in a while, those are very, very rare, and those tend to happen less than they actually do. Tip number 3 is going to be to diversify your portfolio. Diversifying your investment portfolio by investing in multiple cryptocurrencies can help to reduce your overall risk. Now, this is what I kind of briefly touched on as a part of that second tip, but in the event that things don't go your way, the fact that you're diversified basically means that you don't have to count on one particular egg in your basket to make it or break it. Being diversified also allows you to have different exposure to different types of ecosystems. So I would personally say, pick 1 or 2 different tokens that you want to invest in. When it comes to the DeFi space, you can also pick 1 or 2 additional tokens to invest in. When it comes to DEXs, lending and borrowing, NFTs, and so forth. If you guys are not familiar, things within the crypto or just the general investment space happen in waves or in cycles. So there may be a period where, DEXs are doing really great. However, the NFTs are not, or vice versa, right? Where we have NFTs that are pumping, and then we have DeFi or lending and borrowing platforms that aren't really doing too hot. Now, with diversification, while you may not necessarily be able to catch all of the gains all of the time, this does ensure that you're at least catching some gains some of the times, right? So I think there is something to be said about that. Now, I do also want to state that diversification doesn't necessarily have to be within the Cardano ecosystem. Yes, my channel focuses specifically on Cardano, but it never hurts to also pick up other cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other even layer 2 scaling solutions that you might find to be very beneficial. Now, again, this does tie back to rule number 1, which is to educate yourself before making any investment in any crypto token or any blockchain technology. So as long as you have a solid understanding of what you're investing in, then it is a good idea to kind of hedge your bet and go ahead and actually kind of diversify, again, in order to at least be able to get some gains some of the times. You don't necessarily have to always have 100x, but having a little bit of skin all over basically ensures that if any sector is to go down, not all of your assets or not all of your investments will be lost. Coming in at number 4, this tip is going to be to keep your eye on the market. If you guys are not aware, but I'm probably sure that you are, the crypto ecosystem or the crypto environment is extremely volatile. And so what this means is that you have to do your due diligence in staying up to date when it comes to crypto events and also even macro events, right? So keeping an eye on the traditional markets and seeing how that's currently impacting crypto, because those do tend to trade similarly. Also keeping your eye on what the government and what the SEC is doing related to crypto, and then also keeping track of some of the events in the actual ecosystem itself, right? So if there's ever any drama specifically within Cardano that may impact your particular tokens or your assets, you want to stay up to date on that. Now, I do also want to mention that you should do your best to also stay on top of all of the actual pricing data for any of the assets that you may be invested in. So at a very high level, you should definitely be in tune with what the current ADA price is, where we are within the general macro cycles, whether we're in a bear market or a bull market. And then again, just keeping track of the actual price fluctuations of whatever altcoins or tokens you may actually hold within the Cardano ecosystem. Now, the very last tip that I have for you guys before I jump into this bonus tip is going to be tip number 5, which is to always use a secure wallet. Now, this can be done using a hot wallet, and I know that generally speaking, those are not as secure as a cold storage wallet or a hardware wallet. But if you're dealing with a hot wallet, always double check to make sure that you're clicking on valid links. Never download more wallets than you need because there are so many popping up nowadays, and always just double check where you're actually downloading these wallet extensions from. Now, if you're dealing with a cold storage wallet or a hardware wallet, then definitely make sure to pick up one of the more trusted brands, which include Ledger, Trezor, and there's just so many other ones just out on the market, right? So make sure to get something that's reputable, something that's been tested, and always make sure to keep your hardware wallets up to date when it comes to firmware. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I do want to share one last tip with you guys, and that's going to be to be prepared to invest for the long term. Investing in crypto is going to be a long-term play, and it's important to be prepared for both ups and downs that come with the market. As I mentioned earlier, hitting the 5, the 10, or the 100x's that are advertised all within this particular ecosystem is not always feasible. Again, you will stumble on some of these every once in a while, but never bet that you will always hit on these every single time. So it's much better to invest smaller amounts over a long period than it is to invest large amounts in a short period, again, given the volatility of this growing asset class. So that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys found these 5 tips to be helpful, and also this bonus tip that I just shared with you guys. If you did, please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me about any of the tips that we talked about as a part of today's video, then make sure to leave a comment down below. Having said that, I will see you guys in the next video.